Now, I'm very pleased to welcome back to the show two amazing horse handicappers in Mr. Shawn Knoche and Mr. Patrick Gates from the Odds Breakers. You can follow them on Twitter at The Great Knoche and at Gator Betting. Here we are, guys. It kind of snuck up on this year. The Kentucky Derby is upon us, the 151st Run for the Roses. Patrick, what's been happening?
I mean, we got a lot of storylines this year too. I think everyone's favorite trainer in the entire world, I think Shawn would agree, Bob Baffert is back in the mix this year. So I think that's kind of the biggest storyline here as we head into Churchill on Saturday. But yeah, things have been good. So I'm looking forward to breaking down this race with you guys.
Absolutely, Shawn, man, Bob Baffert, yeah, he's snuck back into the cut. It's like it feels like he's been gone since COVID, my man. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, he's certainly not my favorite guy on the planet, but when he's in a race, it certainly makes things more interesting. So I'm glad he's back in it. I was very happy he was suspended when it happened, and getting to see some of his horses run again out in Santa Anita, out in California for the most part, has been fun during the prep races. So spent the last two nights catching up. I got in late last night and rewatched a bunch of the prep races going back to January, and then got the sheets out tonight after kids soccer practice and went hard for 4 hours. So I think we're ready to go.
Awesome. I'm excited, man. Well, you know what? Here we are, and it is upon us. And the draft is over. We go right to the Kentucky Derby, and we have to look at the weather. First thing you look at. And Shawn, have you got a chance to peek at the forecast for Louisville, Kentucky?
Yeah, always do. It's actually very, very similar setup to last year. They're expecting rain both days. Don't know exactly when it's going to happen right now. It looks like the biggest chance for rain is going to be Friday evening and overnight Friday. And if it gets in and clears out, I think the track will firm back up for Saturday. But again, there's a chance of pop-up storms both days during the afternoon. So we could certainly see that affect the racing as it goes along.
Is that what you saw, Patrick?
Yeah, I kind of echo Shawn's statement there too. It is going to be interesting. So I remember talking about this race last year, and we tried to kind of give out our ticket construction of kind of who we liked here. But again, I think we all echoed the same sentiment here of it's going to come down to an hour, 30 minutes before the race when you actually place those bets just to see the track conditions. So I think it's going to be kind of a similar situation this year.
Yeah, what I feel like the track, if I'm remembering correctly, was pretty wet, right, last year, and I think the rain stopped, but it was real.
Yep.
I still think it was pretty sloppy, and then I think a mutter took it down last year in Mystic Dan.
Yep.
Yeah, it firmed up a little bit right before the actual Derby race, but it was still not as fast as it could have been for sure.
Yeah, I kicked myself too because we talked about that, and I don't think I had him on my card, but that's life. All right, well let's talk a little bit more about the race itself. Patrick, let's talk about the favorites with respect to the rest of the field. How strong are these few favorites that we have, would you say, with respect to the other horses in this race? And there's 20 to 21 horses in this race.
Yeah, so I think we got 20 right now, 21 if 20 or depending, 21 also eligible. But the favorite in this one's going to be Journalism, the deserved morning line favorite for a reason. Pretty great resume here too. If we're looking into his recent form here. Just trying to pull it up now. Where is it? Yeah, so he won the Santa Anita Derbies on a 4 win streak here, won the Santa Anita, won the San Felipe, won the Los Alamitos. So he's got 1 grade 1 win, 2 grade 2 wins during that span. Looks pretty solid to me, Shawn. I think just kind of looking at this favorite and this one, the issue that I guess we can kind of bring up with this horse is that he hasn't really raced against in kind of any larger fields. They've all pretty much been 5-horse fields,
5 horses, yep.
Which is kind of that asterisk that at a 3-to-1 price that you're playing on the favorite, which gets into a whole different argument. Should any horse really be 3-to-1 in a 20-horse field? It is an issue. I I don't necessarily have anything besides that really against him. Again, great resume, but the 5-horse fields do concern me, especially when you're looking at that price. So that's an issue with him. Then the other favorite is going to be Sovereignty, the 5-1, 18 horse. He's got coming off a second place finish in the Florida Derby, won the Fountain of Youth, and then won the Street Sense. Again, another strong contender in this race here. But yeah, I certainly think there's question marks when you look at both of these favorites in the race. I don't think it's necessarily a super strong field this year, for being completely honest, but that's kind of my issues with the first two favorites. I think there's value when you start to kind of break down the board going up in terms of odds. So I don't know about Shawn, but that's kind of my initial analysis on the two favorites, Sovereignty and Journalism.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with Journalism, right? The biggest question mark for him is he's only racing the 5-horse fields. And both Journalism and Sovereignty, as you look at them, they're going to see a lot more speed at the front of this race than they've seen at all coming off. If you look at the splits on Sovereignty, he hasn't had a half mile go off. He's got 47, 48, 47. Journalism's about the same. The other top favorite in there, Sandman, is the only one that's faced any speed going out at a 45. And he ended up finishing third in that race. He didn't end up closing back. And all three of these guys are closers. I'd call Sovereignty a deep closer, actually. So they're going to be coming from mid-pack or backpack. And I think the pace is going to be much higher than they've seen so far. So they're really going to have to run through a lot of traffic and play a big catch-up game in order to make it happen. So like you said, deep field, there's a lot of options here in the 10 to 20, even 30 to 1 odds that I'm looking at that I think can hit the board. So I think they're deserving favorites, right? He's won 4 in a row, Journalism has, but 5-horse fields and not having to go through traffic and not having any fast splits on his resume yet. It's going to be interesting to see if he can overcome the speed that's going to be at the front of this race.
Yeah, you brought up Sandman too.
Well, so California, he says, always has those issues with the 5 horses in the fields. So in Sloppy could be. He says Sloppy could be an issue for these closers, but yeah, that's why we wait for the track. Go ahead, Patrick.
So 2 things here too. So if it is Sloppy, there's 2 mutters with early speed that I do like here. It's going to be Neo Equos and American Promise. Those are kind of the 2 that I have circled just off to the side here. If we do get that thunderstorm coming down late in the day before the Derby happens. But you brought up Sandman, which I think is a pretty interesting horse in this race. 6-1. Deep closer, like Shawn said as well. Struggled with these larger fields, though, of getting through kind of with this style of running. So I think that's going to be an issue for him again here in this race. I don't necessarily love him, and I think that's going to be kind of the issue, especially when you pile in the weather, even if there kind of isn't fully sloppy conditions. But I don't necessarily love Sandman in this race. I don't know, Shawn, if you kind of echo that as well.
I'm like I said, I think they're all deserving favorites, but I'm not high on either of them building my cards. Sandman would actually be my favorite of the 3, just looking at the way he closed out the Arkansas Derby there, getting to sit back. And then I think Publisher was the other one in that race. He blew past him as another closer and was able to really come on strong. And he was actually kicking as I was watching it today. He was struggling going sideways half the way down the stretch, and he was still blowing away Publisher. So he's the one I think that's got the most natural closing speed of the 3 and could probably go from the farthest back. But again, all 3 of them, if conditions aren't right and if these splits come out and they're running out at 45 or 45 and 1 or 2, I think they're really going to struggle to catch back up.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I marked Publisher and I said, if you like Sandman, why wouldn't you like Publisher? Because I felt at the end, Publisher was going the same speed as Sandman at the very end. And it's true that Sandman had a good trip and did beat Publisher when I watched the Arkansas Derby. So that's just some notes I wrote down. But you're looking at a 30-1 horse here, and a Sandman sitting at 5-1. So price-wise, 6-1, 5-1. You have to take a look at Publisher. Wouldn't you think, Shawn?
No. Just watching the way that race closed, like you said, he was even speed with him, but Sandman was kicking sideways, and he crossed 3 different lanes of traffic while he was going. So he was not revved up at full speed, and maybe that peeks his head out again. But I think Publisher isn't anywhere near any of those three favorite horses, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, some disagreement there. How about you, Patrick?
Yeah, no, I fully agree here. Publisher has yet to win. Again, kind of a deep closer as well. But we look at the races, he hasn't really come close to winning. The shortest margin of defeat has been 1.5 lengths, which was back in December. So I don't really like this horse as well. I think he's certainly someone to consider maybe if he gets a great trip in the exotics. But in terms of winning this race, I do not think Publisher really stands a chance.
All right, well, there you go. It's interesting because it's like you get such a big field, and you're like, man, I gotta cross. It's almost like when I first do this, I fall in love too much with like too many ponies here, and I'm trying to find some to cross off. I did remove both Publisher and Sandman from my first position, for trifectas, but we'll see how far we get because there's still a lot of information definitely to get through. So from a perspective of the favorites here, I'm wondering which favorite you think, and let's just look at all the ones under 10 to 1. And Patrick, I'll start with you on this. Is price going to determine a factor between journalism going off at probably 5 to 2, right? Let's assume 5 to 2, and between Sandman and Sovereignty. Not going to lie to you, I'm just going to say right off, Sovereignty was my favorite horse after I handicapped it all. But between the favorites, what would you lean towards?
Yeah, it's certainly tough too. Journalism, like we mentioned before, the deserving favorite in this race. But again, that 5 only competing in those 5 horse fields, I think for me is just a huge glaring red flag. So I don't necessarily favorite him. Sandman, again, I know Sean's high on him too. But those deep closers, again, you just have to worry really about them kind of making their way through the pack. Again, closed super well in the Arkansas Derby, so we'll give him credit for that one. But Sovereignty certainly does look like the great horse in terms of those 3 options. I would certainly lean more towards Sandman and Sovereignty, especially with the odds playing kind of a main factor in that one as well.
Sean, would you say Sandman for you, then Sovereignty, and then journalism?
Yeah, and that's the way I look. And to be honest with you, the 8 spot is probably a better gate to come out of for journalism, but there's all the speeds also coming out of that inside area. So he's either going to have to go or he's going to tuck in on that rail and get trapped as everybody else comes in from the outside. So I'd actually rather see one of these horses on the outside get some clean runs in the second or third running lane further in the back than where he's going to be trapped on the inside somewhere in the middle.
All right, fair enough. So let's talk about the race itself then, because you just obviously led to it with the gate, near the gate being with the speed. Patrick, which horse is going to be taking the lead, or which horses you think have a shot at taking the lead and setting the pace, and how fast do you think these fractions are going to be?
So I got a fun little fact here. I was doing some research today about this. Over the past 30 years, only 4 horses have won the Kentucky Derby wire to wire, and Bob Baffert trained 3 of them. He's got 2 in this race, both early speed. Let's start with the top here. So the 1 position, Citizen Bull, and 2, Neo Equos, Baffert trained horse. Those 2 are going to be going to the front right away. You also look at the 4, Rodriguez, the 5, American Promise, the 12, East Avenue, and 20, Owen Almighty. The 6 and 7 both are from Japan, so we don't necessarily have great pace figures on them, but based on kind of the preliminary research I've done, they also like to run near the front as well. So there's so much early speed, pretty much from that 1 to the 7 position that we're looking at. That's going to create absolute chaos in this race. So that is something that I'm very wary of trying to play any of those horses, because one bad break and it's over with. So be very cautious of the 1 to 7 positions. The 12, East Avenue, I believe, or is he the 17?
Nope, you got it. East Avenue's 12.
The 12. Yeah. the 12 and the 20, East Avenue, the 12, I think is really going to try to jump to the front and has the best chance to. Owen Almighty on the end is going to have a tough time trying to get across all that traffic to lead this. So if I had to guess, it's going to be East Avenue up top, some combination of the 1 through 7 behind him, and then maybe Owen Almighty in that pact as well. It is going to be a fast pace. If everything lines up correctly, it's going to be a very, very fast pace in this race, which does set up well for some of those closers that we kind of hinted at before. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. That's kind of how this race, at least on paper, is panning out. So that's what I got in terms of pace. I'm not sure if Sean's kind of seeing the same thing, but based on my preliminary research, that's what I got.
Yep, you're right on. The only one of the low-numbered horses that's not going to go is Final Gambit, the 3-horse. I think the 1 and the 2 have to try and beat East Avenue out from the 12 spot to get into that lead. Niakos has had the fastest splits of that group. He's had a couple 45 and 3, 45 flat, I think, are close to it. 45 and 2, 45 and 3. And he's going to be the one that's got to get out in front to even have a chance, because if he gets mired in anything, he doesn't have the closing speed or late speed to hang on. So the 1 and the 2 are going to try and shoot. The 12 is going to come across. One of those 3 is probably going to be the leader coming into that first turn. But like Patrick said, there's going to be 6 other horses trying to vie for the lead too. So we could see 4 or 5 wide going around turn 1 here very easily as well. So.
Okay. And so that kind of echoes exactly what Patrick said. So that's good. It looks like the speed's coming from the inside. And some of the outside horses are going to, like you said, with Owen Almighty, is going to have some trouble. So any chance is it Biza gets in? I watched his race losing to Journalism in the Santa Anita Derby. It didn't look like he, he was kind of there, but Journalism clearly was the better horse. Can he make this field, Sean? It takes a scratch, doesn't it?
Yeah, it takes a scratch to get him in, but if he does, he will definitely be on all my cards. I can guarantee you that right now. He pushed Journalism all the way to the end. Certainly Journalism is a better horse. But again, coming from the outside, he's going to have to come all the way across, come all the way from the back at some point. Looking at his speed ratings, the last 2 races looked very good. But he's a horse that likes to run from the front too, and being all the way on the outside, if he does get in, that's going to make it difficult for him. But you never know. The speed ratings are there, but coming from that 20 post and being a speed horse is very difficult. So
Adam wants to know about Final Gambit. Could he sit behind some speed here? Is there some value at 30-1 for Final Gambit? Why don't you take that one first, Patrick?
The issue with Final Gambit I have here, this is his first race on dirt. Certainly offers the appeal for exotic wagers. Again, another deep closer that we look at in this field, won the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Again, is going to need to kind of take a step up in this class as well. But the one red flag on him is this is his first race on dirt. But I certainly would play him and planning on playing him kind of in a few tickets in the exotic wagers. So maybe put him 3rd or 4th if you're playing a try or super, but that's kind of where I have him slotted in as of now.
Yeah, I did rewatch that Jeff Ruby Stakes, and I was pretty impressed by him. I had him at, as I was going through, he was my 3rd horse I went through. I just went by the numbers, and I had him at the win. And then I'm like, okay, I got teammates. So I raced him at the win. I kept him in the place position. So, and obviously this is definitely subject to change. Tistastic also ran a pretty good race, is what Adam's saying. And kind of wove his way through traffic in the Louisiana Derby. Sean, any thoughts on Tistastic? I think I wrote that he closed well in the Louisiana Derby. Used him somewhere for sure is what I wrote.
Yeah, I'm not high on him. I think the Louisiana Derby was a little lacking in some talent. But he certainly took a step forward in that race. And again, this is what happens in the Derby, right? There's 20 horses. Who's going to take the biggest step forward from those mid-level horses and give themselves a chance is usually the name of the game here, and get a good trip in traffic. So I think he's not on my exotics, but if I had to take one of those 2, I would prefer Final Gambit. Just because he's going to be sitting near the front with all those horses running out inside of him. He's going to have a good rail position right in that mid pack. So I think he's going to be in a better position than Tistastic is as they leave the gate.
All right. So is that what you echo, Patrick?
Yeah, I would agree. I certainly like Final Gambit in that 3 spot. But yeah, I certainly like him a lot more than Tistastic.
All right. So let's look at the next, let's look at who we're kind of throwing off our cards. Sometimes it's better to just approach it from there when you have a massive horse field. Shawn, do you know who you're throwing off your ticket yet? Or you have to wait a little bit, or you can just give me some ones that you're probably going to not use, even if it's a sloppy track.
Yeah, you have to throw off a bunch in a 20 horse field, right? You can't have an exotic with 15 horses on it. I'll play a couple supers that'll have all in the 4 spot, but you can't have this many horses in there. So the ones I'm scratching off my card right away are Neoquist. I just think coming from the front and having as much speed, he hasn't shown the speed rating. With last couple Equibase ones barely cracked 90, and there's plenty of horses that are running faster than that. So even though he's going to get out, he's off my card. I thought long and hard about Admire Daytona just because the Japan horse and the way Forever Young looked last year, but I think the Japan horse to Keon's Lexer Cafe. Admire Daytona's gone. Grande, only 3 races run, been impressive in all of them. The Wood Memorial Field wasn't great, but he's only had 1 workout since the Wood, so I don't know if Fletcher's just kind of sitting back and thinks he's in a good spot because he did take a big jump in speed for the Wood Memorial for sure, but not running him. Maybe he knows something I don't know, but that just kind of scares me. I'm staying away there. Flying Mohawk, again, after the Final Gambit race, he's not going to be in that field for me. Publisher, just the way he looked against Sandman coming around, getting passed by him, he's not going to be there as a closer. Tistastic, I just mentioned. Rendered Judgment got in on 5th place points in the Bluegrass. That's the only reason he's even in the Derby. Hasn't shown up in any of the races. He's my for sure 100% not playing horse, so watch him come in and hit the board. Coal Battle, I think this is a distance issue for him, just the way he's looked as he stepped up, and actually had some competition. Looked good in the Rebel, but taking that extra step up in distance, he's certainly had some fields closing on him, so he's gone for me. And then Owen Almighty doesn't have a chance coming from the outside as a speed horse. So those are, I believe, 10 horses I've scratched off my card right away.
Right. Well, there you go. I'm glad you got down to 11, 10 or 11, whatever. But if Biza plays, what about you, Patrick? Do you kind of have the same horses? Is there any others that you're tossing?
Wait, sorry, Shawn. I had 6 written down here that you scratched. The 2, 6, 11, 15, 16, and 20. Were there ones that I missed here, just so I can compare my list with yours?
Yeah. So I scratched 2, 6, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 20.
Okay. All right. So I think we're on the same page with most of these here. I tossed the 1, Citizen Bull. Again, it's a decent horse here, but that draw on the rail with so many other speed horses coming from there, unless he gets an incredible trip, I just don't see him winning this. So I tossed 1, Citizen Bull, 2, Neo Equus. I'm in agreement with you there. I think the distance is really going to be a challenge for him in addition to his post position. So I tossed him as well. The 6, Admire Daytona. Like you said, too, it's kind of like last year when we had 2 Japanese horses in this race, Forever Young and T.O. Password. Forever Young was kind of that guy. Finished 3rd. T.O. Password finished 5th here. But I feel like it's kind of the same situation with Luxor Cafe and Admire Daytona. Admire Daytona is not going to be on my card. Almost scratched the 5, American Promise as well, just kind of based on his need to get out early, but he's still there. The 11, Flying Mohawk, he's off my card as well. So we're there. The 15, Render Judgment, same one. And then 20, Owen Almighty as well. The 19, Chunk of Gold, excuse me, is another one that I tossed as well. So different one, but kind of I think the only difference we really had was the 19. And I don't mind Grande, so I did not toss him in this race.
All right, fair enough. Let's talk a little sleepers or long shots here. I'll just throw out mine. American Promise is one I X'd in and did not take away for a possible winning position here on my tickets. It's funny. I watched I think it was the Virginia Derby at the pull up these PPs again. And I thought, it's not the biggest, field and not the strongest field, let's say, but he ran that race pretty well. And, he took a jump off. And I guess that's the thing I'm looking at. I'm looking at pedigree of Sire Justify and Tap It, for the dam. And I'm looking at Dwayne Lucas there, which is, a very good trainer who's won the Derby, I think, 4 times. What do you guys think about that sleeper? I mean, I'm looking at 30-1 and salivating over it pretty much, Patrick. What do you think about American Promise?
No, he's off my card. You look at his kind of Derby prep races coming into this one: 6th in the Southwest, 5th in the Risen Star, won the Virginia Derby, but again, I don't think the field was particularly strong in that race. Again, another one of those horses coming from the inside here. He needs to be in front to win this race, and I don't think he's kind of got that jump out of the gate to get there. He's not kind of one of the long shots that I was targeting.
I didn't scratch him, Kiev. The Virginia Derby, that track plays as one of the fastest tracks in the country. And if you look at where he went out in 45-1, and just blew away a weak field. So 13 links back in the Risen Star, 6.5 in the Southwest, and a better field. So certainly not one of my favorites to win the thing, and something I probably will not have a win bet on. But I didn't scratch him just because of the improvement that you mentioned.
Okay, so and 30, it's like you're not going to find a 30-1 that looks that good. It's just one of those situations. You hope he's like a country house or something kind of sneaks in there at the end, or maybe some chaos happens. But I did notice the muddy track that he did win on back in December, and so maybe that changes things, because as Patrick mentioned before, Neoquist and American Promise won a little bit on the sloppier tracks, and I'll keep that in mind. But we'll keep that on. Well, Shawn, give me a sleeper then. What do you think is a decent horse that you might even put in a win position on a try, or at least an exacta?
Well, the one that I landed on is actually the one that Patrick scratched at Citizen Bull by Baffert, right? He didn't have a great run the last time out. He faded at the end in that small field, obviously with Journalism and Biza getting behind him, and he came out a little quick, and only a 5-horse field. There's no traffic for those guys to come up and grab him. They just were able to reel him in. In this one, if he gets off the rail, he's beaten, good horses, right? Rodriguez is coming in at 12-1, the other Baffert horse. He beat him by 3 or 4 lengths, I think, in which one was it? The Lewis. But he's won 3 races in a row, was one of the favorites going in, and then when Santa Anita Derby hit and he didn't perform, he's dropped down to 20-1. But he showed speed ratings that are just as high as anybody else in this field, in both the RB Lewis and in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year, Delmar. So I think he's got the speed to do it. The question mark is the traffic and being on the rail. If he gets clear and he's got a good trip in the lead, and he could wire to wire. What'd you say, Patrick? 3 of the 4 that have done it in the last 20 years are Baffert horses, right? So
yep,
I certainly like him better than Rodriguez at 12-1, and Rodriguez is going to end up as a single-digit horse here before this goes off. So he'd be one I'm looking at.
Yeah,
I thought it was since 1986 that someone hasn't won the 1 hole in the Kentucky Derby. I'll have to relook at that. I know it didn't happen often.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the 1 hole, but Patrick was just talking about the wire-to-wire winners. There's been 4 of them.
Wire to wire. Okay, thank you. I noted since they moved the gate and redid the gate, let's say, it's made it a little bit better on them, right? Since I think it was 2021 or something, 21, 22, something like that, where they first put that gate out there. So there's really not a big sample size since then. But don't get me wrong, Shawn. I put him as a maybe, because maybe he just has the stamina for that one day, and sets the pace and stays ahead. And that's a Baffert horse. He'll get some extra love and maybe a few creams or something, get him going. And
the question's the rail and it's the length, right? Can he go to 10 furlongs? He faded in the only longer one, but I think he's got the speed to show it. So we'll see.
Old Baffert's always got something up his sleeve. It's funny, and I remember like fading somebody in the UFC back like 7 years ago. It was John Jones versus Cormier, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna take Cormier. And he's like, well, Jones has been roiding up, and sure enough, he was roided up, and he won the fight, and so I lost the bet. But then he took the piss test and failed. It's like that don't matter. I still lost the bet. They're not paying him back, you know. So you almost got to look at it like, who cares about situation at this time? It's a Baffert horse, you know. It's like. I totally understand that. How about you, Patrick? How about a sleeper for us?
I like the 10 Grande here. Again, kind of only raced three times this in his career. Look at his last race, the Wood Memorial. Dylan Davis took over for Johnny Velasquez in that spot. Didn't necessarily have a great trip, was kind of pushed wide, but great speed figure improvement on his part. So I really like the 10 here. Velasquez gets back the mount, and it's always a dangerous combination when you sign up Johnny V and Todd Pletcher together. Normally, that's kind of who you'd look for when they're kind of on a maiden. But I really like the combination of those two. He's shown speed here. Like Shawn said, the one issue is that he only has that one workout. But again, who knows? Maybe that's kind of, they're just comfortable with this horse in this scenario. So I would look at the 10 Grande at 20-1, and I think we brought him up earlier as well. Final Gambit, the 3 horse as well. I think he showed great improvement in that last race, the Jeff Ruby Stakes. So I like him here as well. So Final Gambit and Grande are going to be kind of my 2 sleepers in this one.
All right. Well, it looks like Adam. Truth Exposed chimed in, and he's kind of with you on that as well. Gambit could sneak up off the rail. Grande, yeah. Shawn, did you toss Grande? So it's like both your sleepers are against you. That's how this show should be. This is exactly how it should be. You know, and I'm kind of happy we fell on that, because you guys aren't scared to toss horses, and you know how to bet these races, and you're going to have enough money to bet the next one, because you're not going to have, massive investment in here. You'll have something more than modest, I'm sure, but that's what you do, and it's fun to see that. Very exciting Derby it's going to be. Shawn, how are you going to construct your ticket? Are you going pretty verticals, horizontals, maybe some pick 3s, pick 5s?
Well, I'll definitely have a couple big pick 5s going for the day for sure. But just as far as the Derby goes, I like to sprinkle it around. It's the one race, even more so than the other Triple Crown races in the Breeders' Cup, where I probably get a little loose with some cash and throw some things around that maybe I shouldn't. But it's also going to be the biggest pot of the year too, so you can do that. I remember I'm forgetting the horse's name. The one that actually got in as a 21 a couple of years back. It's a 99-1. And then Zandon and I'm blanking. See, I should have wrote this down. Anyway, so where I'm going with this is the 99-1 ended up winning that day. And then the 2 horses that were the favorites came in second and third. I didn't put the winning horse in the front of that superfecta, but I put 3 others and then went the 2 favorites second and third and went all in the end. If I actually would have put the longest shot in the front spot, that was a $334,000 payout on that super. So it's okay to sprinkle a little bit here and there, and see what happens. So I'll have a little bit of everything. Biggest thing for me is I'm not going to try and play a favorite here. I'm going to try and beat a favorite. With this many horses, there's no reason for me to go and put a 2-1 or 3-1 bet on the Derby in a 20 horse field. That's just not how I'm going to roll with this. I'll have some of them in trifectas in the winning position, but my win bets are all going to be horses that are at least right now on the card double-digit odds.
All right. It's funny. Truth says he's going to spend about 150 on the Derby. I think a couple years ago I spent 400. Maybe got that 100 or something. And like I think this year I want to spread it around a little bit. Maybe instead of using the higher, maybe instead of having like $1 or $2 tries, I'll have more 50-cent tries. Kind of throw it around a little bit, but I'm hoping to stay in the 200 range or lower myself. Patrick, how are you going to construct your ticket?
Yeah, no, I certainly will have kind of, I like what Shawn said too. I'm definitely going to try to beat the favorites here in terms of these win tickets. There's plenty of long shots that offer some value here. We brought them up before. So that's kind of the start of it. And then from there, certainly will be a few kind of exactas and tries. The supers, I usually try to avoid. I will maybe play one or two in this scenario, but it's mainly going to be a bunch of different combinations of exactas and tries. So that's kind of where I really stand here. But in general, I know, Shawn, you're probably, what do you said? You're going to key maybe a favorite or two and kind of a few exotics. I think in this field, we're kind of in agreement on this. I don't think it's particularly strong. I think I'm just going to try to beat the favorites in this race all day and just kind of go with that. So that's going to be my strategy heading in here of probably 2 or 3 exactas, probably 2 or 3 tries of some sorts as well there, and then a few win tickets on these long shots.
All right. Well, Grande and definitely the 10 horse here, Grande and Shawn's. I think, which one was yours? The number 1 horses in both.
Yep, the one horse, and then real quick, just my pick to win that I'm actually going to be betting straight up besides the one is the 15, or excuse me, the 7 Luxor Cafe at 15-1. Forever Young with the showing last year.
Yep.
This is an American Pharaoh horse here. I think the pedigree's there, the closing speed's there. He's going to be one of those horses, like I said, that everybody around him is going to take off, and he's going to be able to tuck in that mid-pack position near the rail and should be toward the front when that closing windup happens. And he's got the speed at the end to do it, it looks like. Again, we don't have the full stats because it's a Japan horse, but looks like on paper something that I want to play at 15-1, and I'm hoping those odds go up, not down, just based on Forever Young's performance. And I think they might, so we'll see. But American Pharaoh horse, 15-1, that's my win bet that I'm actually going to be putting a little more cash on.
And Luxor Cafe won 4 in a row, here, and so that's nothing to really look down at. He did beat Admire Daytona. He did beat Admire Daytona back in November, and so I couldn't tell how many lengths he beat him by. But
that one was a nose, but he blasted him. He was actually in the hyacinth with him. I think he beat him by 4 lengths or 3 lengths or something like that. So they've had a couple matchups. And Luxor Cafe is the horse that's gotten better.
Oh, you're right. You know what's funny? I do see that also in February that he beat Luxor Cafe beat him as well by more. So good point. And I was kind of thinking the same thing. It's like, this is the year that the Japanese horse is actually going to do it. But last year put a scare into us for sure from seeing the performance there. All right, well, good stuff. What about any other races? Anything for the Kentucky Oaks on Friday, Patrick?
I have not gotten to that yet. I have been knee deep in NHL playoffs, so I will probably have my picks out for that on Thursday. But yes, to Shawn's point about Luxor Cafe, he's definitely one of the win bets I'm playing, along with Gambit, Final Gambit, and Grande. So those are 3 win bets that I already have circled. May add probably one more, but those are certainly kind of Luxor Cafe is going to be involved in a win and in multiple exotics across the board come Saturday.
Right. Truth Exposed says Luxor is going to be in a super high 5.
Yeah.
That's so there you go, man. These things keep getting longer and longer. Thank you, Anthony. He's become a subscriber. That's awesome. We talk all kinds of sports, Anthony. Thank you for doing that. And he wouldn't count out Luxor Cafe. Shawn, the Oaks, man. Anything to cheer about for you in the Kentucky Oaks?
Yeah, don't bet them, or don't bet her, excuse me. Anything coming off in a 14-horse field in the Oaks at 6-5 before it goes off, that's going to be a 4-5 or 3-5 horse by the time we get to the gate. I'm not going to be playing on that horse. Deserving favorite, 100%. Don't get me wrong. Think there's a very, very good chance that she comes in and wins it. But I will again be trying to beat a favorite there. Fade Lacara too, the 6-1. This kind of field with the way she's run lately, not looking to do that horse either. So what I usually do with the Oaks is I'll throw a small bet in on the actual race, but I like to do the Oaks Derby double. And what I typically will do is I'll pick 3 or 4 horses in the Oaks, and I'll get all in the Derby. And if I hit one in the Oaks, I got the winner already locked up, and I hope for a long shot. So I'm going to fade the good cheer, like I said. The horses I got in there, Take Charge My Lady 10 is my favorite pick for the Oaks. And then I'm going to throw the 3 Fondly in there. And then possibly the 1 would be the other horse early on. So those are the 3 I'm probably going to put in the Oaks Derby double. But the 10, Take Charge My Lady, is the one I'm taking to win the Oaks.
All right, yeah, good cheer hasn't lost yet, man. It's just like I had to throw that one out there. Sean, can you text those to me? I definitely want to take a look at the Oaks. I'm not going to be able to watch a ton tomorrow as I'm slammed, but I did handicap a little bit of the Derby, and there's going to be a pick 5 there, going before it. And I think on the race 8, I'm going to be on the 10 horse Nisos and the 7 Mindframe. And I'm just doing an exacta box with them. You remember Mindframe was a great horse last year. He took second in the Belmont, and he blew away his 1 mile competition this year. And the 10 Nisos is a Baffert horse. And, if you need something for a pick 5, Nisos has been really ripping it up. And unfortunately, Nisos is going to be like, I think 3-1 or something. So it's not like you're going to do amazing on that. But I'm just going to bet that exactly, and that's it. So.
Well, Nisos got hurt coming into Kentucky Derby season last year, I believe, or the year before. I can't remember how old that horse is without it in front of me, but that horse was definitely one that people were looking at coming in. I also have Mindframe to win that race. And then the other one I'm targeting, race 7, the 5 horse I'm looking at as one of my best plays of the day, as I was just going through tonight. That is Arrest Me Red, winner of 3 straight, Wesley Ward in a turf sprint, is always a good bet. Usually he's got IROD on it on the ride, but today he's not running this or on any horses in this race. Might be the break race, but Wesley Ward in a turf sprint, whether it's Breeders' Cup or wherever, is always a play for me. And Arrest Me Red winning 3 in a row is something I'm definitely going to be looking at in that 7th race.
All right. Well, thanks for the tips on that. And speaking of tips, Sean, where could our listeners get your great column and information?
You can find me at the Odds Breakers. I'm a little bit busy at work, so I'm trying to put something out when I can. But any questions you got for me, feel free to reach out on Twitter at The Great Kanaki, or find me at theoddsbreakers.com.
And Patrick, when is your column going to be up over at the Odds Breakers for the 151st run for the Roses?
Yeah, I'm guessing I'm not going to have a time to do the Oaks just based on my schedule, but the Kentucky Derby article will be out Friday. So you'll have a full day before the race happens to kind of digest that. So check out the Kentucky Derby article on the Odds Breakers on Friday. All
right. Well, gentlemen, best of luck to you. You definitely gave me some stuff to think about as well. And I'm sure you gave all our listeners and viewers that came on a ton to think about as well. Thank you guys for chiming in. We'll be texting this week. Make sure you check out Sean and Patrick at the Oddsbreakers and follow them on Twitter. You're going to get a lot of great information from them as well.